The rugged SUV market has grown substantially, and it doesn't matter what price range you're looking at, whether it's $40,000 or $100,000, and it also doesn't matter if you're looking at body on frame or unibody. Every manufacturer is getting in on the action. You have the Subaru Outback, you have the Subaru Forester, the Honda Pilot and Passport with a Trail Sport badge. There's so many vehicles now that are trying to be rugged and off-road tuned with higher ground clearances that it can be a bit more confusing as to what you should be buying when you are looking at purchasing a rugged SUV. But if you're someone that's looking for something that's attainable, that's fun, that's body on frame, that you can take the top off, you can customize, modify, and more importantly, get a manual transmission, there's only two options. It's the Jeep Wrangler and the Ford Bronco. It's a two-horse race, and the Ford Bronco this year is doing very, very well and is threatening Jeep for the top spot here in this class. But I have found a Bronco with the 7-speed manual, and I am very excited. I have heard some great things here with the 7-speed manual for this application, and it might bring a lot to the table here if you are looking at buying an SUV under 50 grand. And in today's video, we're going to check out the Ford Bronco Base, going to check out the exterior, the interior, definitely take it out for a test drive, and see why, if you want a great overall experience, you want to have a vehicle that's going to be fun and enjoyable even when you're going to work or dropping off the kids at school, maybe taking a look at a Ford Bronco with a 7-speed manual might be the best choice you can make right now this year. Now, before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout and thank you to Acton Ford in Acton, Massachusetts for letting me come down here to check out the Ford Bronco once again. Their link will be in the description below so you can check out their extensive Ford inventory. So as always, let's begin with that pricing. For the 2025 Ford Bronco Base we have today, you're looking at a starting cost of right around $40,000. Well, it's a bit more expensive than a Jeep Wrangler. A similarly equipped Wrangler that is a 4-door model is going to come in at around 40 grand as well. What I can really appreciate here with the Bronco is the fact you can go with the 2-door or 4-door configuration and it doesn't change up the cost. That's really cool, especially in a time right now where a lot of manufacturers are taking advantage of extra features and equipment. Ford isn't doing that here with the base trim. Now, comparing this to a Toyota 4Runner, which is also a body-on-frame SUV, that comes in close to 45 to 50 grand. So I think if you save about $5,000 here, you're getting a better SUV and you also get that 7-speed manual. That's really nice here. Also, as you can tell with the Bronco, it looks rugged, it looks retro, and best of all, you had that ground clearance here. So it's going to be a bit more capable than some of the unibody chassis vehicles that we see in this class. Now, as you transition to the exterior for this vehicle and the aesthetics that we have here, by going with the base trim, a lot of cladding up front. You see that with the grille design. Now, on higher trims, you're going to get more of a gloss black look or a more refined look here for this vehicle, but this might be ideal if you are taking on the trails this winter. You're going to have LED headlights and LED daytime running lights. Then for the lower portion of the front bumper, you're going to have some more cladding here. Great if you are taking on the trails and off-road. And you will have 2 tow hook mounts, so if you encounter a Jeep owner that is stuck in the mud, you can tow them out. And speaking of towing, the towing capacity here for the base trim is 3,500 pounds. So you could probably tow a small boat here with this vehicle. Also, for 2025, you will have some tie-down points here on the hood, so if you are skiing and snowboarding this winter or maybe going canoeing during the summer, you can tie that down and put it on the roof. Really, really nice. Now, as you make our way over to the side profile, you are going to have the cladding once again for the wheel arches to deflect that road salt, that debris, and anything else you might be encountering. And for our model, we have the 16-inch steel wheels, which I love this bare bones look for our Bronco. Now, you can go with the Sasquatch package, but that comes in at a very hefty cost at around $8,500. So close to $50,000 here for a base trim. It might be worth it if you are someone who is an avid adventurer, but at around $40,000, I do think this vehicle is most certainly well equipped as is. Unfortunately for our model, we don't have any side steps or side rails equipped on this vehicle, but it might not be necessary with the 16-inch steel wheels, but most certainly on the Sasquatch if you want to have easier access inside this Ford Bronco. Now, you will have more cladding here for the side mirror caps, but surprisingly, you're not going to have turn signal indicators, and you're also not going to have blind spot detection. So we're going old school here with this Ford Bronco. Now, as you make your way around to the back, you're going to have those tail lights here in the retro design. I had a lot of you correct me in the comment section the last time we checked out the base trim. These are not LED lights, but I still think it gets the job done here. Makes it look somewhat retro and also modernized too in 2025. Now you're going to have that tire mounted on the back here. Again, gives you that rugged, that off-road look. Love to see it. And then you will have the Bronco badge, and Ford has been very adamant about that, using the Bronco emblem a lot over the last few years with this SUV. Then for the lower portion of the rear bumper, once again, you got the cladding. And, you know, this is really great if you are taking on that dirt and snow throughout the year. And then beneath that bumper will be that exhaust outlet, giving you a cleaner look here since it is tucked beneath the bumper. But I have really grown to love this SUV, and I have a feeling later on during the test drive, the 7-speed manual transmission is going to make me double down on that even more. Now, powering our Ford Bronco Base is going to be a 2.3-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, producing 300 horsepower and 325 pound-feet of torque. It can be paired with either a 10-speed automatic or 7-speed manual. That is right. It's so beautiful to see in the 2020s. It's only the Bronco and the Wrangler that gives you a manual option here in this class. Now, for our model, we do have 4-wheel drive and a ground clearance of around 8.3 inches. But keep in mind, you can't go with the Sasquatch package with the base trim, providing more off-road capability and versatility. Now, more importantly here is going to be that fuel economy. We got to be fair here. We got to bring this up. You're looking at right around 18 miles per gallon in the city and 21 miles per gallon on the highway. But in the 2020s, though, there's not too many vehicles like this that give you miles per gallon. It only comes down to the Bronco and the Wrangler. So if you're someone looking for a rugged, durable, and fun off-roader and you want to rotate the gears yourself, just know for a fact that there is a major sacrifice there when it comes to that fuel economy, but I personally think it's most certainly worth it. Hopping inside the Ford Bronco Base, as expected, you are not going to receive power adjustable seats, and they're not heated, but they are manually adjustable, and they have the cloth upholstery, which I have to say is somewhat comfortable here. Now, these seats are a bit firm, but again, this is not going to be a top trim. This is going to be a vehicle coming in at just over $40,000. So it's not going to be a luxurious experience by any stretch of the imagination. And also, with this being a Bronco, it's supposed to be rugged. It's supposed to be durable, somewhat old school. And I think Ford has most certainly delivered on that here with this particular trim. I will say the bolstering is pretty good, though. So on those longer road trips, when you're on the trails, maybe on some winding back roads, you should find yourself pretty comfortable here being behind the wheel of this model. Now, in front of you, you are going to have this nice steering wheel here. It's not leather wrapped, but it does feel pretty nice in the hands. Aggressive 10-2 and firm 9-3 grips. You're also going to notice some buttons here on the steering wheel, and that will help you control that digital gauge cluster in front of you. We have seen this a lot here in the Ford product line, and to have this for a base model, I think most certainly does go a long way. Now, you can adjust this screen to your liking and scroll through a variety of information. Also, of course, check out Bronco-specific information, such as your tire pressure monitoring system, off-road status, and you can display your gauges and all that good stuff. But more importantly from here is the fact that Ford did focus on the smaller details. You have that Ford Bronco emblem. You also have the small Ford Bronco model in the display itself. So when you do change drive modes from normal to slippery to eco, sport, and then of course sand, you're going to have different colors to work with here. I love that customizability. For me, it does go a long way with this model being priced at around 40 grand. So I think a lot of you are going to like this display here for 2025. Then taking a look at the infotainment system, you're going to have this large touchscreen here with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility. Despite the fact this is not going to be Ford's newer software with Google integration, this screen and infotainment system most certainly gets the job done. At the bottom of the screen will be quick access icons for your audio, your phone, then of course your app, so you can access Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and of course YouTube, that is right. Then for your settings tab, you have your mobile apps, update software, Ford Assistant, your phone list, sound, vehicle, it's all right here. When you swipe to the right or left, I think the responsiveness is pretty good here. The resolution is aged very well here on this infotainment system. And then last, you have these features for your driver assistance, your owner's manual, and record feedback. On the far right will be a smaller information tab for your off-road status, your pitch and roll, your fuel economy statistics. Very straightforward here. I think a lot of you are going to like this tech display because it's not going to be confusing or complex. And then as expected, you are going to have a rear backup camera with trajectory, which takes up the entire screen. I really appreciate that. Also, a trailer hitch cam as well. So when you are towing a small boat or RV, you can do so very seamlessly. But I think the best feature here for the Bronco is the fact you still have physical buttons and dials for the volume and tuning, but then also the fan speed, fan direction, front and rear defrosters, and also your climate control. Now, it's not digitalized, so you can't see what temperature it is, but I like the old school design. The retro look here really fits the Ford Bronco. Beneath that, you are going to find USB-C and USB-A outlet, also cubby for some loose change or some smaller items. Then for the center console itself, here you have your gear selector, but then also you can go to 2 high, 4 high, 4 low, and hill descent control. And then we get to that gear shifter here, which is so beautiful to see. No dial like we see in all the automatics from Ford. This is the way things are intended for this vehicle. So you're going to have that 7-speed manual, you have that reverse, you have that crawl mode. It's very easy to get acclimated with. I think a lot of you are going to like this setup. Now, best of all, though, and I understand why Ford didn't integrate this, you're going to have a lot of cladding here, or a lot of plastic, which is going to be easier to clean and maintain throughout the years of ownership. At least it's not gloss black trim. Thankfully, Ford kept things simple here. And I know some people are going to complain, oh, it's not comfortable, it's not refined, there's like hard touch plastics everywhere. You're going to be taking this off-road. You're going to be tracking in snow and mud throughout the year. So I think we can live with that here for the Bronco. You're going to find your 2 cup holders, and then on the center console itself, before we get to your center storage compartment, here you have the controls for your power windows, but then also your side mirrors as well. For the center storage compartment, there is enough room for some smaller items. Actually, it's quite deep. You might be able to squeeze in a 17-ounce water bottle or two, which is pretty impressive here if you are going on a road trip with some friends or some family. And then obviously we do not have a moonroof here since we have the soft top. You can take that off, have an open cab experience, and really enjoy yourself with the Ford Bronco. Now for passengers in the second row, if you go with the 4-door model, you're looking at right around 36 inches of legroom, which falls right in line with the Toyota 4Runner and the Jeep Wrangler. I guess in this case, since we have the manual here for our model, we have to focus on that Jeep Wrangler. The 4Runner is kind of in a different class and category with only providing an automatic for this model year. I will say though that by going with the base trim, there is a couple of downsides, and one of them is the fact that these seats are a bit firm, they're a bit stiff, there's not a lot of cushioning here. I think I complained about this the last time we checked out the base, but if you're someone looking for more comfort, go higher up in the trim levels, but then again, you're sacrificing that manual. Now, for smaller kids, this could most certainly work. There's a lot of legroom here, a lot of headroom. I do think taller passengers might be feeling a bit more cramped and claustrophobic. Now, you can recline these seats by about 2 or 3 degrees to maximize the overall comfort, but if you're looking at buying something that isn't body-on-frame like we have here with the Bronco, you'll probably find something a bit more spacious and comfortable. But I think for those of you looking for an authentic body-on-frame experience and you want an SUV like this, the Bronco is most certainly competitive with other body-on-frame SUVs in this class when it comes to interior space. Then when it pertains to the amenities, the list is very, very short because this is the base trim. You're not going to have heated front seats, so you're definitely not going to have heated outboard seats. There won't be 2 center-mounted air vents on the center console, but there will be the switches for your power windows, and best of all, you will have 2 USB-C inputs to charge up those smartphones. But what I really love, though, here is that you do get a small center armrest with 2 cup holders. Now, making our way around to the back one more time to take a look at the rear cargo area, you don't have a liftgate here, and instead you have a tailgate that opens nice and wide and gives you easy access into all your luggage that you have here behind the second row seats. Now, there is a slight difference here depending on what roof you go with. If you go with the soft top, you're going to have right around 38.5 cubic feet of room, whereas with a hard top, you get 35.5. Does that make a huge difference? I don't think so at all. At 38 cubic feet of room, this would outclass a lot of compact crossovers at this price point. So not only are you getting a vehicle that's off-road worthy, it's also exceptionally practical and family friendly. Now, you can store a lot of stuff back here, probably 10, 12, 15 bags of luggage because of how high that roof line is. So really great stuff. Now, when you lower the second row seats, this cargo area maxes out to around 83 cubic feet of room. So you're going to have a lot of space here if you are going camping, maybe you're going skiing and snowboarding during the winter. This is just going to be a great setup if you are someone who is an avid adventurer. For those of you who do take frequent trips, we have that spare tire mounted on the back of the Bronco, so if you do encounter a flat on those road trips or travels, you can fix that and be back on the road. Well, I have gushed over the fact that our model has a 7-speed manual. The Getrag just isn't my favorite. Although in this class, the bar is set so low that having a manual, whether good or bad, is a welcomed addition. And it is most certainly a welcomed addition here for this application and SUV. With the 2.3-liter turbo and the 7-speed manual, it is a fun and engaging driving experience. With a 10-speed, you can kind of just sit back, relax, and drive this SUV like everything else in this class. But with the 7-speed, you feel a bit more engaged. You feel a bit more involved. It's a very enjoyable driving experience. And the best part here, though, is that the manual is not paired with an underpowered engine. Because a lot of manufacturers do that. They give you a manual option with the lowest horsepower output that they can provide, and then it doesn't sell well, and then they get rid of the manual altogether. Ford didn't do that, and I'm very happy that they did that here for the Ford Bronco. Now, when I say this Getrag isn't my favorite, it's mostly because with the gear shifts, they're not notchy, they're a bit numb, they leave a lot more to be desired, and this clutch pedal is very, very light. Although, if it is going to be your first ever manual SUV or car, it's very easy to drive. You're not going to be stalling this thing when you're first learning, which is great. But one thing that I can really appreciate here with the Bronco, and I talked about this with the 10-speed automatic as well, is that it doesn't feel one-dimensional. That it is fun. Even though you don't have a sports tuned suspension, the steering is decently weighted, there is some engagement and feedback, and that's really all you're asking for here out of this SUV. But also, yes, you're going to be driving this to go off-road, but you can have a lot of fun getting to that destination and then going off-road, taking on the elements, enjoying the off-road capability out of this SUV. And it's that well-rounded driving experience that I think makes this particular model, with this particular transmission, the way to go. I really love the sound of this 4-cylinder engine. When you're off throttle, it doesn't really make a lot of noise, and even with the 16-inch wheels, there's not a lot of road noise entering the cabin. It's the fact we have this soft top, though, that brings in a lot of the outside world to the driving experience. But if you're looking for a fun SUV like this, I think you want to have some of that character make its way into this vehicle. Well, nothing mechanically changes here with the suspension, chassis, features by going with the 7-speed. It most certainly changes up your overall driving experience. And because of that, this becomes such a more special experience, a special vehicle that I would have maybe overlooked in the past. Where with a 10-speed automatic, you kind of look at the Bronco as being more of a lackadaisical off-road SUV for daily driving purposes. But in this configuration, you can really enjoy yourself when you're dropping the kids off at school or when you're going to work. And it's that playfulness and multi-dimensional aspect to this SUV that has me coming back for more and has me so much more excited than with that 10-speed automatic. So all in all, after spending some time today with the Bronco and finally getting to experience this 7-speed manual, what a fantastic choice. What a great choice. The only sad thing here is that it's not available on all trims. I think it would be great if Ford did that. It would draw in a lot of enthusiasts, especially if you're buyers looking for something like this. They want the body-on-frame experience, but unfortunately they're forced to go in the old school direction, the retro direction, whereas with the Bronco and Wrangler, you at least have something like this in the modern age. But I think the Bronco is the way to go. The way Ford has set up the chassis and the suspension, it rides better than that Wrangler. And I've talked about that in my previous reviews. And I just feel like that with the Bronco, this is a better product. This is a more modern product that Jeep just right now isn't competing with. And we're seeing that with the sales, where a lot of Americans are choosing the Bronco now, and I think for a great reason. It's a fantastic value at around $40,000 on the lower end, but also you have the customizability, you have the optional packages. Ford is nailing it here with the Bronco, and by still giving you a manual option, it's even better. It doubles down on all of those attributes and aspects, and I think that if you're someone looking at buying something like this, sure, you don't have heated seats, but hey, you have the manual, and that is more than enough here for an SUV in 2025. So guys, guys, I hope you enjoyed this quick review for the 2025 Ford Bronco Base with the 7-speed manual. If you did, please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more, and I will see you guys next time.